You are watching lesson number 15, a second way to use doodly layers. Remember that old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day? Well, neither will you become an expert at using this software. But if you hang in there and you stick with it, you will be creating professional doodly videos in no time at all. Okay, let's get after it. Remember I told you that there was a second method used for layering your assets? Well, here it is. Remember this section right here, layers? We went over this section in our previous video. It was quite intense, so if you need to refresh your memory, feel free to rewatch lesson number 13. Now, in our last lesson, we left off after exploring the Doodly Asset Settings, which is this icon right here. In this lesson, we'll pick up where we left off and explore the remaining icons. I'll click on the man, and our next option is to flip this asset. I'll click on this wonky looking arrow. See how it flips the image? Instead of the man pointing with his left hand, he's now pointing with his right. And if I click on the arrow again, the man flips back the opposite way. Now let's see what happens when we flip the arrow. Okay, it goes from pointing at the text boxes to pointing away from the text box. And if I flip the cityscape, it causes the order of the buildings to be rearranged. And that's how you use the flip feature. Now, let's draw our attention back over here to this section called layers. And I want you to remember that I told you that every time an asset is added to the canvas, a new layer is created. Pay attention to the position of the man. Right now, he is next to the last asset to be drawn in the scene. And when you come over here to the canvas, see how he is standing behind these buildings? Okay, look here. Hi everybody, Kellyanne here. Now you can watch each of these videos at videocaboose.com, where they are neatly organized for you into one continuous tutorial. And that makes it super easy for you to pick up where you left off. If you still need to purchase the Doodly software, I placed the link down in the description box. Click on it. All of my videos are free to share on social media channels by clicking the share button. And oh yeah, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Alright, let's get back to work. Clicking this icon will bring the asset forward, and clicking this icon will send it backwards. Let me show you. I want you to look at this section over here. When I click the forward icon, see how the image relocates down a layer? And when I click the backwards icon, the asset is moved up a layer. So what am I saying? What I am saying is, every time you click the forward or backward button, you are also changing the order of the layer in which they will appear on the canvas. Let me show you what I mean again. But this time, I want you to focus your attention on the canvas. See how the man is standing behind the building. When I click on forward, that brings him one layer forward and it moves him in front of the building. And if you look over here, you'll see that he is now last to be drawn. Now watch what happens when I click on backward. He is moved behind the buildings, and once again he is next to the last to be drawn. But if I click backwards again, his position doesn't change on the canvas, but he is moved up in layers. And if I click backwards one more time, his position still does not change, but yet he is again moved up in layers. And every time I click backwards, he is moved up another slot. Now, I can keep clicking backwards until he is moved behind the background. See? Now here is something you absolutely must keep in mind when you are moving assets by layering them. Just because you move an asset behind another one and can no longer see it on the canvas doesn't mean it has been deleted. It might look like it's been deleted, but it's not. Watch what happens when we preview this scene. See? There he is. The only way to keep an asset from being drawn into the scene is to delete it. Okay, let's get out of here. Now, because I want the man to be part of this scene, I'm going to click the forward button to layer him back to his original position. Notice that every time I click forward, it moves the asset one notch forward. Now this is doing two things at the same time. With each click, I am not only moving the asset forward or backwards, I am also determining exactly when I want this asset to be drawn on the canvas. Obviously, I can't have him drawn first or before the background because he won't be seen for the duration of the scene. But if I wanted him to be drawn immediately after the background is drawn, leaving him here would work. Let me show you. So, just to recap, we started out with the man being next to the last asset to be drawn on the scene, and we used the forward, backward, or layers feature to reposition him to become the second asset to be drawn. Now, using the forward and backward button is a quick alternative to moving assets up or down the layers box. Okay guys, looking at our scene, it looks pretty good to me. However, there is a way to make it even more compelling. What if I added just one more layer to it by adding 2 additional characters? I'm gonna come over here to the character tab and I'm gonna type the word running in the search box. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna double click on this image in order to add it to our scene. Now I'm gonna drag it down a little bit and position it. And voila, there it is. By adding this last layer to the canvas, it kind of completes my storyline. It took the scene from being somewhat businesslike to being more laid back. I mean, adding the kids outside playing gives the scene a sense of visiting your local neighborhood. Now, don't get me wrong, the scene was perfectly fine without adding the kids. I just wanted to show you how you can completely change the direction of your video by adding a single asset to the canvas. So, what's your point, Kellyanne? My point is, don't be afraid to mix things up in order to broaden your horizon. Remember, if you make a change and you don't like it, you can always right click on the canvas and click the undo button, which leads me to our last option that we have here, the trash can. If you no longer want an asset to be a part of your scene, you simply select it and click on the trash can. When you do, a pop-up window will appear asking if you're sure. You click OK and it's gone. Well guys, that's enough for now. It may not seem like it, but this scene has 4 different types of elements in it and 9 different assets. There is a scene, which the man is a part of. It has props, which include the background, the dotted square, the arrow, and the cityscape. It also has text, which again was part of a scene, and it has characters, which are the 2 children running. Now, all of these assets can be modified by using the asset setting feature. So play around with these settings in order to familiarize yourself with how they work, as well as the changes that they can make within your scene. Also, play around with using layers in order to determine the best layout for your videos. Now, in our next lesson, we'll learn all about how to correct the JavaScript error. So, when you are ready to power forward, head on over to lesson number 16, and I'll see you there.